Hello and welcome to Chai and Chips. This is a brand new podcast. My name is Sheetal, but I am not going to be in the seat of the podcaster this time. It's going to be Prakash Mallya. Prakash is an industry leader. He's a technology leader. He's worked across geographies, be it India, the US, Southeast Asia. And he's here to put together a podcast that will bring you insights on a particular sector. Now, we don't have chai and chips. Well, that is exactly what the podcast is called. But we certainly have a lot of insights to bring to you with respect to the sector that pretty much is a foundation, or should I say, the building block of life as we know it today. I don't know if I'm exaggerating a little bit, but let's move to Prakash. Prakash, tell us, what is chai and chips?
Great to be here. Chai and Chips, Sito, is where semiconductors meet Indian ambition. It is over a proverbial cup of chai that we sit together with business leaders, researchers, startup founders, or in fact engineers to talk about the magic, the geopolitics, the business, as well as the overall industry, how it operates on the semiconductor side. And I believe it is a very, very unique opportunity to understand the foundation of technology that every innovation depends on.
Super. But, Prakash, I was thinking, what makes this the right time to be having a conversation or actually launching a podcast on this particular topic? Because, yes, I mean, sure, the layperson is more likely today to open the newspaper or whatever news, app and encounter a headline every other week. No, actually every week on, something to do with semiconductors, chips, etc. But then I, thought you should tell us why or how you would contextualize the relevance of this topic here and now.
That's very true, Seetal. In fact, in my opinion, we are at a critical juncture. AI, as we know, is reshaping industries. Geopolitics is reshaping supply chain at the same time. And you can see the thrust of semiconductors, which forms the heart of everything that you do in terms of innovating on new products, building great software, or building great products, in fact. And if you look at it that way, you have to think about, are we in that conversation asking the right questions?
Right.
Are we building the right ecosystem that stands the test of time? And in fact, what has history taught us in that regard? So Chai and Chips is the platform where we will end up having such conversations, these debates, and very honest dialogues on all of these scenarios and what India needs to do to be able to lead in the semiconductors or chip space.
There's another question. I know this is not going to be very easy for you because I've always thought, since I know you, Prakash Mallya, the M not just stands for Mallya, also stands for modest. But we have to answer this question, why you on this podcast? Now, for our viewers, I should let you know that Prakash is going to be the anchor on the series, and he will bring on different guests from the industry, leaders and experts, subject matter or domain experts as we call them, to keep the conversations going. But, more about those people later. For now, Prakash, tell us about you. Why you as the anchor on this podcast?
Well, in fact, I have never done a podcast in my life, right? So this is, I would say, a venture to start with, along with you. And the reason for that is very simple. A couple of reasons, in fact. One, I am a big believer in technology and its impact. And I'm passionate about India. That's one solid and the most important reason. And the second is how my career journey has shaped. So if you look at my background, I've pretty much spent a long time in semiconductor industry across India, across all over Asia, specifically Southeast Asia for a long period of time, and the US. And I've seen during that time firsthand how semiconductors shape countries, shape economies, and shape innovation. And I would say, done things right, semiconductors have a great opportunity to leapfrog nations. And India is right in the midst of all the changes, all the decisions to be made. And I could not think of a better way to contribute to that mission, which means bringing in the best and the brightest of minds from India as well as all over the world and have a conversation and share those insights with the world.
Right. So, Prakash, this is the other question that every podcaster must ask and answer before they embark on a journey like this one. The target audience, who is this podcast for?
I would say it caters to anybody who is interested in technology and is interested to understand the impact that technology makes in lives, in economies, in countries, and the world. So you could be an engineer wanting to build the next big chip company out of India. Many have come and a lot more opportunity exists. You could be a researcher seriously interested to understand where the puck is going in chips, or you could be an industry leader trying to shape the semiconductor policy for the country. Any of these scenarios, and in fact, you could be also a person who wants to get into chip industry and understand what it takes to build a successful career. All of these scenarios, this platform is for you.
Right.
I would say any profile of people who would like to make chip industry or semiconductor industry or technology industry their home, this is your platform, this is your community.
You know, I like the welcoming note that you've just hit over here. It sounds like pretty much anyone who's part of the industry will walk away with something of value from this experience, Prakash. But then, since we're talking to such a wide, broad audience, I'm curious to know how we're going to approach the topics. How are you going to segment the podcast themes? Help us understand that.
Actually, semiconductors is such a wide span that you can go from India's semiconductor strategy, and we would like to go deep in topics versus superficial. So you could take that. You could do what are the ethical dilemmas in setting up semiconductor supply chain, as an example. Or you could do quantum computing.
Okay.
You could pick topics like how the AI chips, given their unbelievable rise in the recent past, have impacted industries. So you could do that, or you could pick up topics like what does it take to build successful careers in the chip industry as an entrepreneur, as an engineer, as a contributor to academic research. Human-related topics could also be elements that we cover. But in the end, you could also have history lessons. What has the world seen in learnings from countries that have built very successful chip supply chains, be it Taiwan, be it Japan, be it US, be it some parts of Europe. So there are very interesting set of topics we could cover. And the span of topics would ensure that, like we talked before, any individual who is interested to understand technology and the impact of technology, specifically chips and semiconductors, make in people's life or economies or countries, it would cater to their needs.
Lovely. Just my kind of podcast, because it sounds like, an intersection of several different disciplines, whether it's history, society, and I like that phrase, leapfrogging nations. And I suspect, it's going to come up pretty often, right, Prakash, in the course of our conversation. But tell us about this very important other question, takeaways. At the end of a particular episode, I want to know what I'm going to walk away with. Otherwise, why will I listen, right? So what will Chai and Chips offer to people as takeaways?
I would say the first thing is inspiration. And hopefully it comes across that technology has a deep impact in nations. You have seen that firsthand, what services and software can do for India, as an example. There is a similar and much bigger opportunity in semiconductors. So hopefully through these conversations, the inspiration rises in the next generation of talent to bring to fore all the innovations that can happen out of this country,
right,
for this country and beyond, right? The second is clarity of thinking. The different perspectives shared by industry leaders, academic researchers, entrepreneurs can help people shape their own thinking on what could be the vision for semiconductor industry, semiconductor supply chain for India moving forward. Right. And last but not the least is actionable insights. Can we go drive through these conversations change in how you set the strategy for a startup,
right, that
is as an entrepreneur you work for, or some other semiconductor policy that you're working on? That's what I'm talking about, to have impact in day-to-day through your insights that you gather from here.
Right.
And last but not the least, I would say is we are trying to build not a podcast, but a movement in the country. And my request to the guests is your voices, your experiences, your insights is what is going to make this podcast come to life and really resonate for our audience.
I love this other phrase, Prakash, call to action. I know on a podcast, difficult to define that. Other than, bring your own chai and chips, is there something that you want our viewers, our listeners to remember as a call to action, maybe a message?
The opportunity for us is tremendous. I don't know how many people are aware that India today houses 25% of world's chip designers. And the real question for all of us is, from that pool of talent, can we really harness the trillion-dollar opportunity, which is chips and semiconductors?
And with that, it's a wrap on Chai and Chips. This is an episode that you should be tuning into simply because it's going to tell you how we as a nation are leapfrogging into the future. Make sure you're locked on to Chai and Chips. Prakash Mallya will be back.